Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
The employment stats are out, and unemployment in the country is down 1.7%.
Well, those three men finally brought before the courts for the drug bust in Andros.
Leader of opposition business in the Senate, Fred Mitchell, blasts the government's verification process.
The Minister of Tourism has big plans for the downtown area.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Andrew Knowles. Topping news tonight. Unemployment in the country is down 1.7% according to the results of a labor force survey conducted by the Bahamas Department of Statistics. Officials say those employees with short-term work during the month of April played a big role in the drop in unemployment. Kyle Joaquin reports.
The survey was conducted between April 24th and 30th and covers 3,500 homes across New Providence and some family islands. According to the latest labor force survey, since November 2016, the unemployment rate dropped from 11.6% to 9.9% due to an increase of 7,700 people finding work.
Among the employed labor force, there were more men than women. However, in all the islands surveyed except Abaco, men were fewer in numbers among the unemployed labor force.
The department is reporting a workforce of 200,155 employed people, with 10,000 more employed men than women. According to the survey, 21,880 people are unemployed, with just over 1,000 more unemployed women than men. But there's a new category, vulnerable employment, which stands at 8.2%. This includes all those employed, but only on contract.
Vulnerable employment was found in all various sectors.
Talk to the cameraman, please.
They were found in all various sectors. They were in government because, government hires a lot of contract workers. If the contract is not a permanent contract, if the contract has a time limit to it, we would consider that temporary.
Acting Director of Statistics Leona Wilson would not say whether these people were hired as a result of the general election or Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival. This once again bringing into question the accuracy of the labor force survey and what type of employment is being included.
The definition of employment, we use the ILO definition of employment. Yes. And the definition of employment during that reference period, if you work, at least 1 hour. If you work for at least 1 hour during that reference period, you're considered employed. So that doesn't change. We cannot change the rate and say exclude those persons because they are gainfully employed.
The private sector absorbed most of the new jobs since November 2016. Then there are those who have simply given up on looking for jobs.
Discouraged workers in the country declined by 8.8% over the 6-month period. New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Abaco experienced declines in the number of discouraged workers, 11.3%, 8.1%, and 14.6% respectively.
There's also the concern over youth unemployment.
Unemployment among youths in the country continued to be more considerably higher than any other age group, which is common in most countries. However, there was a slight decline in the rate from 25.1% recorded in November 2016 to 24.1%.
For our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
There has long been concern over the accuracy of the Department of Statistics labor force survey, from the number of people surveyed to the types of employment considered. Leona Wilson, the acting director, admits that the survey could be more thorough. However, she says the department is short on resources.
We definitely would like to do it more often, but the problem, we are constrained by physical resources. Ms. Winters, only her staff is so much limited. We can't kill them in trying to do the job. In order to get this particular survey out, they had to work overtime. And and I definitely don't. I have instances now where persons are overworked and sometimes they're getting sick. I don't want to reach the point where Ms. Winters is hospitalized.
In 2014, the Inter-American Development Bank approved a $33 million loan for public sector improvement. One component of the program involved the strengthening of the statistics department. However, she says their challenges persist.
And so we are limited in terms of what we could do. Now, there are some initiatives that we're thinking about that may help us to do it more frequently, but at this time, we're constrained by those resources.
So, clear response is you need more resources from the government.
Yeah, particularly human aid. And yeah.
In other news tonight, 3 men were charged in the magistrate's court today in connection with Monday's multi-million-dollar drug bust in Andros. Our April Sands was in court and has the details.
Well, those 3 men were finally brought before the court today in relation to bringing forth one of the biggest drug busts for the capital in the year.
25-year-old Brandon Kelly Adderley of Nicholstown, Andros, and 36-year-old Devon Calmer of Blue Hill Road, and 46-year-old Perry Miller of Conch Sound, Andros, were charged on 8 counts of possession of dangerous drugs with the intent to supply and conspiracy to import dangerous drugs. It is alleged that the 3 men were found in possession of dangerous drugs, namely Indian hemp. According to police reports on Monday, August 7th, around 4 p.m., officers of the North Andros Division met a go-fast vessel that appeared to run aground. A search of nearby bushes uncovered drugs valued at $3.2 million. 3 men were taken into custody in connection with the drug seizure. In court today, Adderley, Calmer, and Miller appeared before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt in the magistrate's court, where they pleaded not guilty to the charges. The men were remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections and will return to court on August 17th. Reporting for our news, I'm April Sands.
Leader of opposition business in the Senate, Fred Mitchell, is promising legal action against the government if it follows through with its promise to interrupt the salaries of government officials and workers who do not complete the employee verification exercise that was launched this week. Mitchell called the exercise ridiculous, laughable, and offensive. Jasmine Brown reports.
Mitchell says the government needs to rethink the entire exercise, as he insists the process is unnecessary.
And it's an indignity which they should not engage in.
The government is mandating that all monthly and weekly employed public officers, senators, and members of parliament take part in an employee verification exercise. According to a Public Treasury Department letter, failure to participate would result in an interruption of an employee's salary. While the government has estimated that the exercise is necessary to identify all of the legitimate workers in the civil service, Mitchell says they have no right threatening to interrupt people's salaries.
And what I think we're waiting for is someone not to get paid, and then we're going to move the courts to demand that the government pays, because it's just ridiculous.
On Tuesday, Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest admitted that the first day of verification was marred by long lines and confusion over the required documents. Mitchell says it's an indignity to require ordinary Bahamians to stand in line to prove who they are.
The thing that struck me about it is the ridiculous notion that the Governor General, the judges of the courts, and members of Parliament and senators have to go down to C.R. Walker to identify themselves. It's just ridiculous on the face of it. Just from a logistics and management point of view, it just seems entirely silly. I mean, it isn't necessary for people to go and stand up in lines. It's just another indignity for people, because it'll affect mainly the people down at the lower ends of the scale. So they have to go and stand on lines in addition to, you have to go and stand on line in the supermarket, you stand on line in national insurance, you stand in line everywhere you go, and now this to get your pay.
The exercise started on Tuesday and ends on August 31st. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, still to come on Our News, promoting youth employment. Plus, tourism officials eyeing downtown redevelopment, so stay tuned.